China's newest aircraft carrier Fujian enters the Taiwan Strait. 80 aircraft, 3,000 crew, $6 billion in cutting-edge naval power. Taiwan waits 14 hours. Then launches a weapon nobody saw coming. Satellite footage shows the carrier dead in the water. November 7, 2025. Taiwan Strait, 110 kilometers wide, at its narrowest point, separates mainland China from Taiwan, the most dangerous waters on Earth. Chinese President Xi Jinping orders a show of force, Operation Sacred Unification. Make Taiwan understand resistance is futile, demonstrate overwhelming military superiority, break Taiwanese morale. The plan is simple: sail the Fujian carrier strike group through the strait, conduct flight operations, launch fighters, recovery drills, all within sight of Taiwanese shores, psychological warfare at naval scale. The Fujian represents China's technological leap forward. Type 003 carrier, 80,000 tons displacement, 316 meters long. First Chinese carrier with electromagnetic catapults. Email system copied from American technology. Can launch heavier aircraft faster. J-15 fighters, J-35 stealth aircraft, KJ-600 early warning planes. 80 aircraft total. Each sortie demonstrates capability. Each landing proves competence. The carrier cost $6 billion to build, 8 years construction. Pride of the People's Liberation Army Navy. Flagship of regional dominance. June 7th, 4:23 a.m., the Fujian Carrier Strike Group departs Fuzhou Naval Base. 6 escort ships accompany the carrier, 2 Type 055 destroyers, most advanced in Chinese fleet, 13,000 tons each, armed with 112 vertical launch cells, HHQ-9B air defense missiles, YJ-18 anti-ship missiles. Each destroyer costs $900 million. 4 Type 052D destroyers provide additional screening, 7,500 tons each, another $500 million apiece. 2 Type 093 attack submarines run submerged escort, nuclear-powered, designed to counter American submarine threats. Total strike group value exceeds $10 billion, China's most powerful naval formation ever assembled. The fleet enters the Taiwan Strait at 11:47 a.m. Chinese state media broadcasts live. Shows the carrier launching aircraft. J-15 fighters roar off the deck, one every 45 seconds. Emails catapults accelerate them to 280 kilometers per hour in 3 seconds. The fighters climb, circle, demonstrate air superiority. Chinese television commentary proclaims inevitable reunification. Shows animated maps of Taiwan surrounded. Claims the island will return to motherland embrace. Millions watch. The message transmits clearly. Resistance is hopeless. Submit peacefully. Avoid bloodshed. What's your weapon of choice against a $10 billion carrier strike group? Type A for conventional anti-ship missiles. Type B for asymmetric innovation. Taiwan watches everything. Military command in Taipei receives real-time intelligence. American satellites track the Chinese fleet. P-8, Poseidon aircraft monitor from 200 miles away. Taiwanese radar paints every ship, every aircraft, every movement. The data flows into operation centers. Analysts study the patterns. The Fujian maintains 18 knots. Predictable course. Following the deep water channel, staying 45 kilometers from Taiwanese territorial waters. International waters. Legal operations. Provocative, but not aggressive. China stays just inside international law. Makes intervention difficult, makes response complicated. But Taiwan prepared for this moment. For 3 years, engineers developed a new weapon, codename High Lung Strike. Sea Dragon Strike in English. Not a missile, not a torpedo, something different, something unexpected. Autonomous underwater vehicles, AUVs, unmanned submarines. Each unit measures 8 meters long, weighs 4 tons. Electric propulsion, nearly silent. Can operate for 72 hours on battery power. Speed up to 40 knots in sprint mode. Each vehicle carries 600 kilograms of high explosive. Shaped charge warhead. designed to punch through ship hulls below the waterline. The kicker? These AUVs hunt in swarms, coordinate attacks, overwhelm defenses through numbers and timing. Taiwan deployed 40 AUVs into the strait 2 weeks ago. They've been waiting, sitting on the seafloor, conserving power, listening. Acoustic sensors monitor ship traffic. AI algorithms identify targets. Chinese destroyers passed overhead multiple times. Never detected anything. The AUVs remain dormant, waiting for the primary target. Today, the target arrives. At 1:34 p.m., Taiwanese command authorizes activation. The signal transmits through undersea communication nodes. Encrypted burst transmission. The 40 AUVs wake up. Systems initialize. Propulsion engages. They rise from the seafloor. Formation spreads across 12 kilometers. The swarm positions itself in the carrier's projected path. They wait. Silent, invisible, deadly. If you're seeing how modern naval warfare just evolved beyond anything previously imagined, hit that subscribe button immediately. At 2:18 p.m., the Fujian approaches the AUV position. Acoustic sensors detect the carrier at 8 kilometers. The massive hull generates distinctive sound. 80,000 tons of steel moving through water. Propeller cavitation. Machinery noise. The acoustic signature is unmistakable. The AUV swarm activates attack protocol. They spread into a 3-dimensional net. Some units go deep, 100 meters. Others stay shallow, 40 meters. They create a gauntlet. The carrier must pass through. No way around. The trap is set. Chinese sonar operators aboard the escort destroyers detect nothing. Active sonar pings bounce off the seafloor. Return echoes show clean water. No threats. Why would they? These AUVs use sound-absorbent coatings. Minimal radar cross-section. They're designed to be invisible. Built from studying American submarine stealth technology. Taiwan's engineers created something revolutionary. The Chinese Navy doesn't know what's coming. At 2:29 p.m., the first AUV makes its run. Accelerates to 40 knots. Heading directly for the Fujian's hull. The propulsion system screams. Chinese sonar finally detects it. 800 meters out. Torpedo alarm klaxons sound. The carrier executes emergency maneuvers. Turns hard to port. Too slow. 80,000-ton ships don't turn quickly. The AUV impacts the hull below the waterline, port side, 6 meters below surface. The shaped charge detonates. 600 kilograms of high explosive focused into a 2-meter-wide jet. Punches through 40mm hull, plating like paper. Seawater floods into the lower decks. Damage control teams scramble. But this is just the beginning. At 2:29 and 11 seconds, 3 more AUVs hit. Starboard side, different locations. Coordinated impacts. Each one tears a new hole. Water rushes in. The carrier lists 3 degrees to starboard. Flooding spreads across 4 compartments. Pumps activate. Crews close watertight doors. Try to contain the damage. Can't. More AUVs attack. 2 hit the bow. 1 hits amidships. 1 targets the stern. 8 impacts in 90 seconds. The Fujian takes on 4,000 tons of water. List increases to 7 degrees. Flight operations cease. Aircraft on deck secure. Emergency procedures activate. What would you have done as the Chinese carrier commander? Continue mission, abandon operations, head for port? Comment your decision below. Chinese escort ships try to respond. Type 055 destroyers fire rockets, anti-submarine mortars, depth charges. They hit water randomly. No targeting data, no submarine contacts. Just panic fire. Explosions churn the sea. Kill nothing. The AUV swarm continues its attack. They adapt. Avoid the explosions. Target from different angles. Chinese countermeasures designed for torpedoes. These aren't torpedoes. These are autonomous hunters. They think. They coordinate. They overwhelm. At 2:31 p.m., 4 more AUVs strike the Fujian. Engine room takes 2 hits. Seawater floods the propulsion spaces. Emergency shutdown procedures engage. The massive diesel generators go offline. Electrical power drops to backup systems. The carrier loses propulsion. 80,000 tons, becomes a drifting hulk. Speed drops, 18 knots, 14 knots, 8 knots, 3 knots. The Fujian coasts to a stop, dead in the water, still flooding. List reaches 12 degrees. Evacuation procedures begin. Satellite imagery captures everything. American KH-11 reconnaissance satellites overhead. 0.1 meter resolution. Clear photos, the Fujian listing. Escort ships circling. Chinese helicopters evacuating personnel, water pumps spraying overboard. The damage is catastrophic. Commercial satellite companies release images 6 hours later. Planet Labs, Maxar, Capella Space. The photos go viral. Social media explodes. China's flagship carrier crippled in the Taiwan Strait. The propaganda victory becomes propaganda disaster. Taiwan's Ministry of Defense releases a statement at 4:47 p.m. Acknowledges the incident, claims self-defense, states that autonomous systems detected hostile military vessel in Taiwanese defensive zone. Systems responded according to programming. Taiwan maintains plausible deniability, no direct attack order, just automated defense. The AUVs acted independently, technically accurate, legally defensible, strategically brilliant. This kind of exhaustive tactical and technical analysis requires serious research investment. Give this video a thumbs up to help us continue this work. Chinese rescue operations begin immediately. 3 tugboats dispatch from Fuzhou. 8-hour transit. The Fujian continues flooding. Damage control teams make some progress. Seal 4 compartments. Pumps gain on the water. List stabilizes at 13 degrees. But the carrier can't move. Propulsion damaged. Steering compromised. Communications partially offline. 3,000 crew members remain aboard. 280 evacuate to escort ships. Medical emergencies. Injured personnel. 2 sailors die from drowning in flooded compartments. 17 suffer serious injuries. China's newest carrier becomes a floating casualty. Casualty assessment takes days to complete. Final damage report shows 12 hull breaches. 8 below waterline. 4 at waterline. 12,000 tons of seawater flooded aboard. Engine room destroyed. 2 propulsion shafts damaged. Rudder mechanism jammed. Electrical systems compromised. Flight deck operations impossible. Repair timeline, minimum 18 months. Cost estimate, $800 million. Some American naval analysts suggest the carrier might never return to full capability. Structural damage too severe. Repair costs approach replacement cost. The Fujian might become the world's most expensive artificial reef. Strategic implications detonate across the region. China's carrier program suffers catastrophic setback. 8 years building the Fujian. 3 years training the crew. Millions of hours preparation, all negated in 2 minutes and 42 seconds. 12 autonomous underwater vehicles destroyed a carrier strike group's centerpiece. Cost analysis reveals the asymmetry. Each AUV costs approximately $8 million to develop and produce. 12 units total cost, $96 million. They disabled a $6 billion carrier, plus $800 million repair costs. That's a 70-to-1 cost-exchange ratio. Asymmetric warfare perfection. Chinese military prestige collapses. State media initially claimed technical malfunction. Engine failure. Claimed the carrier experienced training accident. Then satellite photos emerge. Hull breaches clearly visible. Water pumping operations obvious. The lies fall apart. International observers confirm torpedo damage. Impact patterns consistent with multiple underwater explosions. China's propaganda machine can't spin the truth away. The Fujian was attacked, disabled, humiliated. The carrier returns to Fuzhou under tow. 3 tugboats pulling. 5 escort ships surrounding. The journey takes 14 hours. Every mile broadcasts defeat. Taiwan's defense industry receives instant credibility. Hailung AUV systems prove combat effectiveness. Orders flood in. South Korea inquires. Japan requests briefings. Philippines wants purchases. Vietnam asks for technology transfer. Australia initiates negotiations. Every nation facing Chinese naval expansion wants these systems. Taiwan's defense exports explode. Revenue projections exceed $2 billion over 5 years. The economic boost sustains development. Next-generation systems enter production. More capable, longer range, heavier warheads. The arms race accelerates. Was this operation Taiwan's brilliant masterstroke or China's catastrophic intelligence failure? Drop your strategic assessment in the comments. Chinese carrier operations freeze. The remaining 2 carriers, Liaoning and Shandong, cancel planned deployments. Too risky. Taiwan demonstrated capability to kill carriers. Until countermeasures develop, carriers stay in port. Protected waters, under air cover, behind defensive screens. The power projection stops. Regional intimidation ends. China's naval expansion hits a psychological wall. Building more carriers means creating more targets. Targets vulnerable to cheap autonomous weapons. The strategic calculation changes fundamentally. American defense establishment studies the engagement obsessively. Autonomous underwater swarms just changed naval warfare. Aircraft carriers, the foundation of American sea power, face new existential threat. Pentagon fast-tracks counter-swarm technologies. Underwater detection networks, active protection systems, electronic warfare countermeasures. The Navy redirects $4 billion to counter UUV programs. Carrier strike groups increase submarine escorts. Deploy more ASW helicopters. Enhance sonar capabilities. The response is comprehensive but expensive. Every carrier group now costs $500 million more annually to operate safely. Allied navies reconsider carrier investments. Britain planned a 3rd Queen Elizabeth-class carrier. Cancelled. France delays Charles de Gaulle replacement. Japan suspends new helicopter carrier conversion. Why invest $6 billion in platforms that $96 million in drones can sink? The naval architecture paradigm shifts. Distributed operations become doctrine. Smaller ships, more units, harder to target. Survivability through numbers rather than size. Taiwan's trap rewrote decades of naval theory in under 3 minutes. The broader lesson resonates across military planning. Expensive doesn't mean invulnerable. Advanced doesn't mean protected. Impressive doesn't mean effective. The Fujian represented cutting-edge technology, cost billions, trained thousands, looked unstoppable. 12 underwater drones made it irrelevant. Asymmetric thinking defeats symmetric investment. Small smart beats, big dumb. Innovation triumphs over tradition. Taiwan proved it. China learned it. Everyone else studies it. Your continued engagement drives what stories we investigate next. Subscribe right now and activate all notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive analysis. 3 months after the incident, the Fujian still sits in dry dock. Repairs progress slowly, structural damage worse than initial assessment. Keel warping detected. Frame distortion measured. Some engineers argue the carrier should be scrapped. Start over. Build better. But political considerations override technical recommendations. Scrapping admits failure. Repair attempts recovery. So repairs continue. Costs escalate. Timeline extends. The carrier might return to service in 2027. Maybe. Reduced capability. Psychological scars permanent. Taiwan's strategic position strengthens dramatically. China can't invade without naval dominance. Naval dominance requires carrier operations. Carrier operations risk destruction by AUV swarms. The invasion calculation becomes impossible. Even if China accepts carrier losses, the landing fleet faces the same threat. Amphibious ships, supply vessels, all vulnerable to autonomous underwater attacks. The invasion window closes. Taiwan's defense worked. Deterrence established. Independence preserved through innovation rather than force. The message to China is unmistakable. Taiwan will defend itself. Asymmetric capabilities level the playing field. Technological innovation defeats numerical superiority. Attempts at intimidation backfire. displays of strength expose vulnerability. The strait remains defended. The island stays independent. The people remain free. All because engineers thought differently, built smarter, created weapons that changed everything. The warning to every naval power echoes across oceans. Your carriers are vulnerable. Your traditions are outdated. Your assumptions are wrong. Small nations can defeat large fleets. Cheap weapons can sink expensive ships. Autonomous systems can overwhelm human decisions. The naval warfare paradigm shifted. Adapt or become obsolete. Taiwan showed the future. 12 underwater drones. 1 crippled carrier. Forever changed naval warfare. So here's your final question. Are aircraft carriers now obsolete? Can autonomous swarms defend against stronger adversaries permanently? Should Taiwan sell this technology to every nation facing Chinese expansion? And what happens when China develops their own swarm systems? Share your strategic predictions below. If you made it this far, you're part of the core community that makes this channel matter. Subscribe immediately. Like this video. Share it with anyone who needs to understand how a small island just defeated a superpower's flagship. Taiwan set the trap. China took the bait. Satellite footage proved everything. And naval warfare will never be the same. The Fujian sits broken in dry dock as proof. Innovation beats intimidation. Intelligence beats force. Freedom beats tyranny every single time.